Do you want to dominate the EuroLeague Fantasy Challenge? Well, stay ahead with expert tips, underrated picks, and injury updates. Hit like, subscribe, turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. And let's get to this week's video. Welcome back to the EuroLeague Fantasy Challenge podcast. This is episode number 26 this season. I am your co-host Frankie Sachs, and I'm joined as always by Vasiliki Karamuza. Vasiliki, what do you say about number 26?
I don't know what to say about number 26, but I definitely know this is the last episode of the regular season. So we made it throughout this point. Congratulations to both of us, of course, Javi as well, and all our participants. But most of all, congratulations to the private league winner for round 33. And I want you to sit tight before you share this number, because I think it's the highest we have ever seen. Congratulations to Lucas Strumba, who amounted 261.75 credits, and he was the winner of our private league and second overall in the world.
Yeah, there were a lot of points out there last round. And
yeah.
You got some of them and I got some of them, but we didn't get all of them.
Yeah, the week started really hopeful. And I really thought I could surpass the 200 points. But then a disastrous Friday happened and crushed all my dreams. To give everyone a little bit of scoop, I had Kedrick Nunn as my captain, and I kept him there, of course, after this amazing performance he had against Monaco. I also had Joel Parra, who had a career night with 15 points and 12 rebounds. But then Sasa Vazengo was below his average. Your favorite Juancho Nagomez was below his average. And of course, you had warned me about Gordon Herbert. And even though Carson Edwards had 26 points with 8 made threes in a quarter, Bayern still managed to lose the game against Maccabi. I don't even know how that happened, but it did happen. And this cost me dearly.
I was not going to bring up the Coach Herbert fiasco.
I know you would.
But I was not, because I was actually going to be nice and give you credit that when we were chatting on our private group about, or maybe even directly with you without Javi, I was concerned about the Olympiacos center situation. And you brought up the idea of, although he's not a center, going with Alec Peters.
Of course.
And I had Alec Peters, who had a monster game. He was not my captain. But I have to give you credit. That was your idea, and that helped me. And in the end, I had an okay week. We were almost the same. You had 164. I had 166. Very similar. We took different routes to get there, but it was okay.
Yeah, I wanted to get Alec as well, but I had to move some things, and I couldn't find a cheaper guard. So I ended up having Joel Parra, which was. They were pretty similar, so it didn't cost me that much. But yes, it was a tricky period of time for Olympiacos, and Alec Peters had to step up and play as a center because he wasn't actually being a center. But he made a lot of threes, and it really helped you. Do you want to tell people who you wanted to trade instead?
Who I wanted to pick up instead?
Yes, and who you wanted to get out of your team instead.
Well, I considered Moses right, but I went with Peters instead. Are you talking about when I briefly considered bringing back Juancho?
No, you wanted to trade Eddie Tavares out of your team to get Moses right. You don't say the full picture to the people.
Well, or Tice. I thought there might be some real value to Moses Wright, and I would get rid of one of my centers. But thanks to you, I regained my faculties pretty quickly and made a smart decision.
I'm such a good teammate. Yes.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
So let's go.
Well, I want to start by sadly saying goodbye to some players who, because they did not make the playoffs or the postseason at all, this is the last opportunity to take them. And I'm not so fond of it. These have been my guys who I've really enjoyed coaching this season.
If you don't start with Theo Maledon, I will leave.
I'm a Theo guy. Of course I start with Theo Maledon. But also there's Roman Sorkin and David McCormick, all guys who I really enjoyed watching, having on my team. They made my season enjoyable. At times they made my season they gave me a lot of points, and it's sad for me to not be able to put them on my team anymore. I'm not going to have them this week, and obviously not till next season. But I want to thank them from the bottom of my heart for the wonderful experience. I'm sure you have guys also that are not going to make the postseason who you want to thank.
I'm not sure. I mean, like the ones I had for the longest are still in the mix, I think. A guy that I had for so long, but it's not currently on my team, it's Matt Strazel. But he's still going strong, so maybe I will get him back now in the postseason. But I can't think at the top of my head right now someone that I had like for a long time that it's not going to continue his season.
Yeah. All right. So, sorry, what are you looking forward to this week then?
I want to mention some players that we haven't talked at all, but I think, especially lately, they've been doing a really good job. Do you want to start from Greece or elsewhere?
Let's start with Greece.
Okay. Another really good pick, apart from Alec Peters, is Nigel Williams-Goss. He's fully healthy again, and since Thomas Walkup is still out, he takes a lot of responsibilities in the playmaking and in the scoring end of the floor. He was really, really good also against Alba, and he costs only how much? I don't have it in front of me. No, I do because I have him on my team. 9.4 credits. I bought him, so a little spoiler alert. I think it's a really good choice for a guard under 10 credits, and it's someone you can keep also going forward. But as you already said, we have unlimited trades when the regular season ends, so maybe someone can get him next week.
What is the guard situation there? When can we expect Thomas Walkup back? Can we expect anybody Lucas Vildoza back?
Lucas Vildosa injury is not that serious, but I don't think he will get back right away because there was a change also in the foreigners lineup of Olympiacos in the domestic league. Saban Lee is in and Luca Vildosa is out, so that makes me think that he's not gonna be back for another 1 2 weeks. I don't know if he will make it to the playoffs that start April 21st. I think it's that. And for Thomas Walkup, no one really knows. Back issue is not something easy. He has been dealing with that. He went to the States for a special rehabilitation treatment. He wanted to avoid surgery. But it's always tricky. It's sort of similar with Marius Grigonis' case. He tried to do conservative treatment at first. That didn't work. And after 2 months, he ended up having surgery, and we still haven't seen him playing. The last time we saw him was round 4. So that's a very tricky situation.
And when will we see Keenan Evans?
Uh, I think he will get some minutes this week against Maccabi. That was the initial plan, and Coach Barjokas wanted to go fully into the program, don't skip any days or anything. But he was part of the of Olympiacos roster next week, the previous week. I'm sorry, so he can practice a few more times with his teammates abroad. So I think he will get some minutes now.
And what about? So you were going to say you had other players outside of Greece who you wanted to mention?
Yes, I want to mention Tyson Ward from Paris. He has been making a lot of threes lately. I know you're going to say this is not sustainable, but he does other things in the court as well. And I think he's going to be very popular in the free agency this summer if he doesn't stay with Paris, of course. He has been averaging 14.3 in the last 5 games, and he cost 10.7 credits, so maybe that's also a good option for someone.
There's another guy who I'll point out who I've added to my team this week who's playing in France, and that's Jerome Blassingame from AS Monaco.
Yes, I had him on mine too.
Right, his last 3 games, he's averaging 15.7 rebounds and 18.7 PIR. Coach Spinoza is giving him a ton of minutes, and for 9.4 credits, he is somebody to consider. When I was trying to think, do I want to sell out and go for none this week? And I realized I couldn't get Blassingame. It would limit me in other places. I said, you know what? I'm not gonna sell everyone just to get none. I'm gonna stick with going with Blossom Game and some other moves, and try and get through round 34 without new contract and none at home.
No Nan at home?
Well, you said it was new contract
Yeah,
none.
it was new
That was
contract
your
Nan.
explanation for it.
Yeah.
Right. So now this week it's none at home, and what could be an important game against Zvezda. If you can afford him, I think it's probably a good time to have none. He's red hot. But given the situation with my team, I didn't see how I could get there without selling Tavares or Vazenkov or rebuilding in some drastic way where I'd be taking too many players who couldn't contribute at all, and I decided to stick with the spine of the team that I have so far, and then none next week, obviously, because Panathinaikos won't be in the play-in showdown. They'll be directly in the playoffs. So when we get to the playoffs, then I can rebuild with none. There was a time where I was considering maybe I'd get none this week because it's back to none at home. Last week was new contract none. He's red hot. Now none at home, the important game. I advise anybody who can afford none to have none right now, but I didn't want to. When the option was selling out, getting rid of the Tavares or Vasenkov, or rebuilding my whole team and not having Blossom Game just to get none, I decided to stick with Blossom Game, to stick with the stars I already have, the spine of the team I already have, and work with that.
I think you will have plenty of time to get playoffs Nan. So I'm confident you will. So I'll let this one slide.
Yes, as we learned last year, playoffs none might even be better than home none.
But the first two games is gonna be at home, and it's already sold out in just 12 hours for two games. People are going crazy, rightfully so. So yeah,
There's nothing like the
yeah,
playoffs.
nothing like the playoffs. I don't know, like the Final Four is even better, but the playoffs are more intense because there are more games. So you get to live in this fancy for 2 weeks, and it's amazing.
I'm already feeling the playoffs, but first we have to get there. There's some important games this week, important games for fantasy this week, and then of course the play-in showdown next week. So are there games that are impacting how you're looking at things fantasy wise this week?
Yes, especially at my coach. I was between Luca Banchi and Tiago Splitter. Both teams, both Paris and Anadolu Efes won the win. They're playing against eliminated teams, but they want to climb up the standings as much as they can to have better opportunities and chances going forward. But I ended up going with a cheaper option because I wanted to have more credits for my players. But I think that was a big thing in my head building this team.
Yeah, also I think that the Peñarol is an option. Barcelona at home against Virtus, in a game that Barcelona needs. But I like you think that Splitter, just because he's cheaper, is the best option. I can't imagine Paris losing at home to Alba Berlin in the game that's very important for them. So I went with Splitter as well, and I think that we will see a very high usage rate on Splitter for round 34.
Yeah, and Paris is coming from 3 straight games with more than 100 points in the EuroLeague, which is very unusual. And now the game against Alba can be in that scenario as well. So maybe we will get 20 points from our coach. I hope.
Is there any games that you're staying away from? Games that make you nervous?
I think the tighter one is the one between Fenerbahce and Bayern. Speaking about Bayern, did you see who come back?
From
Yes,
Byron, Devin Booker, you mean?
yes, he's finally back. So that's another reason I had to make a change in my team. But I will tell you a little bit more about it once we go to look at our teams. Shall we?
Okay, sounds good. We
Yeah,
shall.
okay. Let's go see our trades. So I already mentioned the coach I'm going with this week. So Gordon Herbert is out and Thiago Splitter is in. And for the change I had to make because Booker is back, Elias Harris needs to go because I think his minutes will be eliminated after this comeback. So I went with a strong center option. I have two great centers, I think, now. So Elias Harris is out and Vincent Poirier is in. He has been playing really well lately for Anadolu Efes, who has 6 or 7 wins in a row. Poirier has been averaging 23.1 in the last 3 games. So I think maybe there's good upside there. Ignas Brzdekis is out because Zalgiris is eliminated and they're not going to continue. And I think it's time for me to move on. So Nigel Williams goes is in for the reason I explained before. And the big surprise here, I know you're gonna mock me on that. Juan Serna Gomez is out. And Justin Bean is in. I'm really sorry that I had to make that, but it was the only way for me to make room because Juancho was one of the most expensive guys I had on my team, and I didn't want to give up Sasa Vezenkov or Kendrick Nunn. I for a minute I thought about trading Elijah Bryant, but then Rodrigo Bilbao got hurt, so he will need to play a bit more, I think. And also, I couldn't find a very cheap guard option. Instead, in forwards, there were more choices, like around 5, 6 credits, for me to have someone that can give something on my bets. So that's why. Don't hate me, you or Juancho, please.
You've got to deal with Wancho on your own. I already apologized to Wancho last week.
Okay.
All right. So the four players that I released this week are Dame Sar, which I won't get into, but I'm very disappointed.
Yeah, me too.
Uh,
Juan Peñarroya as well, from what I've seen.
yes, yes. Brasdekas, like you, Isaiah Mike, and Coach Bartzokas. And then I with the funds that I created, Diego Splitter, as I mentioned before, because Sara's gone opens up a little bit more playing time for Brizuela, who also, if you believe in fluky advanced stats, in his last three even
Yes,
numbered
I
rounds,
know.
right? He's at a PR above 20, and we're in an even number round. So it's a good time to have Dario back. But also, I mean, Sar was starting. It's a little bit more minutes. He wasn't playing 30 minutes, but it's a little more minutes in the backcourt. It's a good time to have Brizuela back. Blossom Game, who I mentioned, and then I had 5 credits left for a guard, and I'm going with Stefano Tonut, who is, I believe, the only player on my team who is not going to be in the postseason, and his game is relatively meaningless. But in the Spanish league yesterday, he played 34 minutes, scored 14 points. He still got quite a role, and for 4.9 credits, it's not a bad option to have in the end of my bench. And also, there's 6 games this week in turn one on Thursday and 3 on. So I was able to have. I have 7 players playing on turn one, but so Tono will be on my bench regardless. But I have a nice balance of a full slate of Thursday games and 3 players who I like, who I can bring back on Friday if needed.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier. There weren't really many options in that range of credits for guards, so it's really hard. But since we still in the regular season, there are more options. So I hope this one works for you.
Yeah, for now it works. I did consider Para, who I like his role and his value in the 6.2 credits, but it wasn't. But I like Blossom Game more, and I didn't want to get rid of one of my other forwards. Although I still have to rethink what Peter's role will be this week. But at 9.7 credits, I'm not scared of keeping him in my roster, and I didn't want to get rid of Petrusov coming to an important game or Vazenkov, so then I couldn't get Para.
Okay, let's go see our full lineups.
All right, so my turn one will be I've got my 2 centers still, Tavares and Thais. At forward, I have Vazenkov and Peters and Blossom Game, who I set away 6 men, and Wade Baldwin is my guard with Splitter as my coach. And on the bench, I have then I have Tono, who's going to be on the bench tomorrow, and my 3 turn 2 players on the bench are Brizuela, Elijah Bryan, and Petrusev.
Okay, I like it. I
Thank
have
you.
2 centers as well because I went strong on that. And even though the one is playing in T1 and the other one's playing T2 in T2, I think I will have them both in my lineup. So Thais and Poirier. Have Sasa Vezenkov as my only forward in the starting lineup. And then again, I have Kendrick Nunn and Nigel Williams Goss. For the 6th player, I have Leo Cavalier from Paris, who plays in T1. And on my bench, there are 4 players. The one's playing in T1, Justin Bean, but I don't think he's gonna be in my starting 6. Elijah Bryan, Joel Para, and Dario Brizuela as you, and Coach Splitter as well. I think we overlap a few choices there.
We overlap, and all the players we overlap are players that we both strongly endorse. So I think that there are players that everybody else in playing the fantasy challenge, all the managers should consider. Those are very strong options. Um, and like you said before, Bryant was a player who I'd maybe he's been putting up a lot of minutes, very good numbers, and then with Boboil, I think he's a no brainer. Petrusov makes me a bit nervous on turn 2. What if Panathinaikos tries to swallow him up? But he is the Zvezda go-to guy, and it's an important game for them. I'm very comfortable with everybody on my team, except maybe for Peters, where I don't know how the return of Milutinov will affect him.
Yeah, we will see. But he has been really hot lately, so I think Coach Barjokas will find some minutes to give him, even if it's not as a center, but as his usual position, the 3 or 4. So I think for now you're good.
Yeah. So who are your captains then?
Yeah, let's see our captains. Who can I be? Who can it be? Who would have thought? Yeah, of course, it's Sasha Vazenkov, Olympiacos is playing her T1. So we're starting there. And then again, who would have thought? My second option for T2 is Kendrick Nunn. So if Vazenkov, I think I will upper a little bit the mark. I need more than 30 from Sasha to keep him because then there's none at home. And these two are battling neck to neck for the Alfonso Ford Trophy, the first scorer of the EuroLeague regular season. Nan is ahead right now after the 37 points he scored against Monaco. So I have that on my mind as well.
Yeah, the also Nunn will have the advantage of knowing exactly how many points he needs after Vazenkov plays on Thursday.
Yes.
So that could be interesting. I of course will have Vazenkov as my turn 1 captain, and I think it'll the bar to replace him will be much higher. I mean, I think or lower. If he gets even a 20, I think I will keep him. I guess there's the possibility I could go with Tavares as my turn 1 captain, but I don't think I will because Vazenkov is just a machine. But then I don't have a Nunn type player in turn 2. So that's why I said even at 20, I'd probably keep him. If he does not get 20, then I think I go with Elijah Bryant, but I'd feel a little nervous about that. That is the one flaw in my team this week, that I don't have a strong turn 2 captain option.
But if you have Vazenkov, it's not that much of a gamble. Because even on his bad days, he will have a PAR of 20.
Correct. He had 18 last week, right?
Yes.
Something like that. Yeah. All right. So, but you'd like to have that chance to do better than that. We'll see. But yeah, I'm hoping that Vazenkov goes out with a bang.
Yeah, I hope so too.
That was it. Yeah, we miss Javi, who's out in Bulgaria, in snowy Bulgaria for Game 1 of the Euro Cup Finals. We miss him, but he's probably happy he didn't have to turn for another episode where he had the lowest score of the 3 of us.
Maybe that's why he's avoiding us lately.
Yes. But I want to thank everybody for joining us throughout the entire regular season. But don't worry, there's more to come. We will be back here every week throughout the postseason, from the playoff showdown to all the rounds of the playoffs, and then before the Final Four. So stick with us. And what we ask of you is tell your friends about the podcast, share the podcast, like the podcast, subscribe to the podcast, do all the things to help us growing and help us share the message of the EuroLeague Fantasy Challenge. Rivalry Series game of the week is FC Bayern Munich against Fenerbahce. Watch that game as well as all the other games on EuroLeague TV. And the podcast, of course, you can catch right here on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening. And we will see you again in 1 week's time.